So far we have talked about circles. And on circles, we're going to draw out our circle. We know that we have a center. We know that from the center to the edge of the circle is the radius. We know that going all the way across our circle is our diameter. And then we know that going all the way around our circle is our circumference. We have also learned about pi. We know that pi equals 3.14. And we also know that pi is a ratio of circumference to diameter. We've also learned that radius is half of the diameter. And we know that the diameter is double the radius. Now, yesterday we talked about circumference. We know that circumference equals pi times diameter. And we also learned that circumference equals 2 times pi times radius. Today, we're going to work backwards. We're going to talk about if we're given the circumference, what do we do? So let's start with this right here. It says find the diameter if C is about 62.8 meters. That means if the circumference is about 62.8 meters. So we know that it says circumference, and we know that we have two formulas for circumference. We have circumference equals pi times diameter, and we have circumference equals 2 times pi times r. This one right here says diameter. So I'm going to use my formula that has diameter, which is pi times diameter. Well, where it says that C is about 62.8, in for C, I'm going to put 62.8. And then I'm going to write 3.14 times diameter. Well, this right here is an equation. And the operation that we have is multiplication. So how do we get rid of multiplication? We divide. So we would divide both of these sides by 3.14. So I would do 62.8. I don't know why I typed a 3. 62.8 divided by 3.14. And we would get that our diameter is about 20 meters. So you're just going from your circumference and using the formula to work backwards. These are the skills that we've worked on for a lot of this year. All right, so this one says find the radius if C equals 17, circumference equals 17 centimeters. So we are looking for our radius and we have our circumference. So we know that the circumference formula is for radius 2 times pi times radius. Well, we found out that C is 17 pi. So where C is, I'm going to put 17 pi. Then we have equals 2 times pi times radius. This is an equation. Now, I know your first instinct is to change pi to 3.14. Don't do that. I'm going to show you why. To get radius by itself, we have to undo the multiplication. That pi looks really gross to me. So I am going to first undo the multiplication by dividing by pi. It's the first thing I'm going to do. So I undid the multiplication with division. I divided both sides by pi. Well, when that happens, this pi right here cancels out, and that pi right there cancels out. And that leaves you with the left side equals 17, and on the right side equals 2 times radius. We still have a little bit of multiplication going on, So now I'm just going to divide both sides by 2. 17 divided by 2 is 8.5, and we find out that our radius is 8.5. So if it ever gives you that your circumference says pi, just divide both sides by that symbol pi and just go ahead and get rid of it. This one says find the diameter if circumference equals 9.42 feet. All right, so I want you to pick what formula you're going to use. So we should have picked that circumference equals pi times diameter. Now I want you to pick what formula you're going to use from there. You should have said that C is 9.42, so where C goes, we put in 9.42, equals 3.14 times diameter. All right, what do I do now? Okay, so I'm going to divide both sides by 3.14, and 9.42 divided by 3.14 is going to give me 3. So my diameter equals 3. This next one says, find the diameter of a circle with a circumference of approximately 25.748 inches. So what formula am I using? We should be using that circumference equals pi times diameter. Okay, what's my next step? All right, so in where circumference goes, I'm going to put 25.748 equals 3.14 times diameter. What's my next step? My next step is to divide both sides by 3.14. And I will find that my diameter equals 25.748 divided by 3.14 gives me 8.2. And that's inches. All right, this one says find the radius if C is approximately 87.92 yards. So what formula am I using? We should be using that C equals 2 times pi times radius. Where C goes, I'm going to put in 87.92 times 2 times 3.14 times radius. Now, you could start by dividing by 2. You could start by dividing by 3.14. Or you can multiply 2 times 3.14. There are all these options that you could do. I'm going to multiply. So I'm going to do 87.92. 2 times 3.14 is 6.28. And then from there, I can now do what? I can divide now. So I'm going to divide both sides by 6.28. And that is going to give me that my radius equals 14 yards. And then this last one says, find the radius if circumference equals 4.5 times pi. Now remember, we keep the pi symbol. Now this is radius, so what formula am I using? I should be using that circumference equals 2 times pi times radius. All right, now what am I using? I should have 4.5 pi equals 2 times pi times radius. Notice, I kept both of my pi's. This is because my circumference has that pi symbol. I'm not going to change pi to 3.14 because that's just going to make it harder. So now I undo some of that multiplication. I'm going to undo that first multiplication of pi just to get rid of it. I undo that by dividing both sides by pi. And when I do that, both of these pi's go away. And that leaves me with 4.5 equals 2 times radius. Now I'll undo that multiplication with division. So I divide both sides by 2. And that gives me 2.25 equals the radius. All right, that is the video for today.